You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the studio and we are a 2-hour show. So you're going to have to tune in from 11 to 1 every Sunday on WFLA Orlando, and that's 94.1 FM. 5:40 a.m. Do you guys like that? I got that pretty quick, didn't I?
First try. We were nervous about it, but you got it. Professional.
Awesome. I am your host, Angela Spirito, and in studio with me, we have our producer, Melissa Fox.
Hi.
Hi. I'm not used to having the producer in another room. I can wave at you.
Yeah, they don't like me in the same room as you guys.
Yeah,
I think
terrarium.
it gets crazy.
Oh my God, I love your voice. She's
Thank
got
you.
the cool, sexy, raspy voice.
Perfect radio voice.
Thanks. Thank you. I'll be over here.
She'll be here all day.
And next up, we have Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand, our co-host and videographer.
Hello, Melissa. Number 2.
I know. We'll have to get the Melissa
Actually,
works out.
they call me the Fox. Usually, Fox
we
is
go.
fine. So.
Okay, that works.
Thank you.
That totally works. If you go to baadradio.com under episodes, you will see all of BaaD Radio's videos from last year. Striking Brand has been producing our weekly YouTube videos, and they are just fantastic. You can also see other works by Melissa at her website, which is strikingbrand.com. Please join me in welcoming our guests. We've got Brian Squared. So we've been calling him Brian number 1 and Brian number 2. But new to BaaD Radio, we have Brian Awsumb with Awsumb Tech.
Hey, how you doing? This is Brian here, Awsumb Tech.
And you guys, his last name really is Awesome, but spell it for us.
Yeah, so it's actually spelled Awsumb. So I like to say it's the phonetic spelling.
I know, but it's fantastic. And then next to him, we have a longtime friend of BaaD Radio, Mr. Brian Hastings, owner of Four Seasons AC and Heating.
Hello, hello.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. It was great, though. Like I said, I have Brian number 1 and Brian number 2. And they are our guinea pigs for our first time in the WFLA studio.
Thank you for your patience.
And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Frogger's Bar and Grill. Hoppin' with food and fun. If you're looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones, you have to go to Frogger's. 4 locations, tons of TVs, and the best food you could imagine. Everything is fresh, never frozen. Check out their menu at froggers.com with locations in Mount Dora, Oviedo, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. And also a huge thank you to Liberty Property Inspections. That's libertypropertyinspections.net, helping you protect your investment. All right. So do you have your live ready to go?
Yes, of course I do.
We're going to go into the networking news. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about appearances. But first, we're going to...
This networking news segment is brought to you by Live Your Best Life. Live Your Best Life is an independent advocate for Green Compass USDA certified organic hemp products. They offer a complete range of products, including hemp wellness, targeted health, personal care, performance, even products for our furry friends. To get more information on these products or becoming a consultant, you can call our friend Terry at 407-616-3145. And she is amazing.
She is amazing. They have this product called Sleep Boost. And if you're like me, my mind goes a million miles a minute. And so sometimes it's very hard for me to shut down. But I don't want to take sleeping stuff because then I'll never wake up
and
again.
Drowsy in the morning.
But the Sleep Boost kind of takes the edge off. It helps me relax. And then since I've been using it, I get the best night's sleep. So there's your personal endorsement from me, Terry. So.
Yes.
All right. So I just mentioned briefly. So this portion, we're going to talk a little bit about first appearances. And the reason that I brought that up is because Melissa and I just got done getting our hair and makeup done because we're going to be doing a little photo shoot. And it really made me think about first impressions. And I think we all are in the networking persona into that group. So I don't know. What do you guys think about people coming to their BNI chapters dressed to the T, or just the ones that look like they rolled out of bed?
Ooh, man, oh man. So yeah, you're right. First, you only get one chance to make that first impression. And yeah, if you show up with a dirty T-shirt and sneakers that are untied, you might not want to refer someone to them.
My favorite, though, is flip-flops.
That's what, Angela was talking about earlier, someone coming to a BNI or a networking event in flip-flops and their toes were looking all crazy. I'm like, how is anybody showing up networking in flip-flops?
I'm going to, off the air, Brian, I'm going to have to tell you the story, though, because
She's saying names.
yeah, because you know this person, and it was somebody I had invited a guest, and they literally were kind of just turned off about the whole appearance thing, and they ended up not joining the group.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying it's this guy's toes that caused him not
We
to
lost
join the
members because of your feet.
group. I'm just saying it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what about you, Brian One? What are some of your thoughts about, because you look very nice, by the way.
Yeah, well, first impressions to me have always been huge because, like Brian over here said, that you can't take it back. But it also shows to me how much effort you put into your daily life is almost equated exactly into how much you do for business. So if you come in and you're, not taking the time to make sure that you're looking respectable and, presentation, it's just like, why would I refer someone to you if that's how you handle yourself? How do you handle your clients?
Yes, I agree with that. And here's what I think a lot of people will think as well is that, well, I work behind a computer screen. I'm not in front of people. And so they don't put that much effort into it. But in a networking situation, you're representing that group. And so if we're going into a networking function and you're in my group and you literally, like I said, look like you just rolled out of bed and I've got 2 guests that are coming, it reflects not just on you, but it reflects on the chapter as a whole. So yes or no, or am I just being way too queenie?
No, you're right on, I think. And especially like not just networking, but like if you're going out in the field, there are certain professions that, like mine, for instance, I don't have like a branded, a uniform that you would go into for a lot of positions. So I have to be a lot more conscious of what I'm wearing because a lot of what I'm doing, I'm sweating, I'm outside, I'm moving. So I have to find
tell
that
everybody
balance.
what you do.
Oh, sorry. I do photography and videography for businesses. So specifically what I'm thinking of when I'm saying sweating is when I'm doing real estate shoots. So I'm outside Florida, like 10 months of the year are over 100 degrees average. So I have to find that balance of something that's comfortable, but I'm not going to be out there and like, looking like I'm going to the beach or something. Because then when these, especially new realtors that I'm working with, that's exactly what we're talking about, the first impression. So they when people look at you, they are going to judge you like immediately, whether it's right or wrong. That's what happens. So just looking that part, being professional, then they have in their mind what kind of product you're going to give them back, even just from looking at you and how you behave. So it's so important.
It is important, but I also have to say that there's also something you said about not judging a book by the cover, right? Because how many times, and I know it's happened to me, where I made an initial judgment based off of the way somebody looked, and they ended up being a completely different person.
I mean, that happens too.
I like Master Roberts is a good example. Master Roberts is like this amazing young lady. Melissa referred her, and she walked into the studio at the time, and to me, the first thing I saw was a 15-year-old girl. That's what I saw. But oh my gosh, I couldn't be more wrong. She is a Taekwondo master.
She wasn't 15. She's not 15.
No,
she just looks really young. She's like gracefully aging.
So she was, but she's a Taekwondo master. She owns her own dojo in Oviedo, and she's sharp as a tack. So that right there is just another one of those times where, thank you. It's just one of those times where you're like, okay, I need to not do that, but it's hard not to.
Right.
It is hard not to. I guess so. What are some of the things that we can recommend people to take care? Like put on a clean shirt. Let's do that, people.
Let's do that. Brush hair. Brush hair, brush teeth. Act like you're seeing people.
Yes. And like I said, wear closed-toe shoes. Yeah, dudes. I'm just saying.
And chicks. I mean, come on. Unless they're heels or something.
Well, no, I
but
have
like
cute shoes like this that I can wear.
Okay. Yeah, those are cute.
My toes look nice too.
Yeah. If you have a pedicure, then it's okay.
Oh, all right. Well, I can't believe, but we're getting ready to come up to our first break. So everybody stay tuned because when we get back, we're going to jump in with Brian Awsumb with Awsumb Tech LLC.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And welcome back. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. Cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. Premier Couple Superstore has everything from sexy bedroom outfits, toys, games, and everything in between. Premier Couple Superstore, because couples that play together stay together. I also want to thank Angela Keen's Hair and Makeup. So before we jump in with Brian Awsumb, we have Ricky on the phone, and we just want to give her a huge thank you. So Ricky, hi.
Hi.
So we just totally talked about your business, but like I said, I'd love to have you on the air and give everybody your information and what you do.
All right. Well, my company is Rocked by Ricky. I do hair and makeup. I do color, hair cutting, pretty much everything. I also work festivals and weddings. So really a good client for me is just anyone that wants to feel confident and good about themselves.
Okay. And so you can look at like Melissa.
Yeah.
And us right now.
We are your walking billboards right now.
Walking billboards.
And she is completely mobile as well. So she moves around. She has her own salon space as well. And but if you need her to come to you, she comes to you as well. I know this because I work with her frequently. I love her so much.
Aw. And give everybody
I love you too.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Give everybody your contact information.
All right. So my work number is 407-953-6527. And then all of my socials are Rocked by Ricky, and that's RIKKI.
Awesome. All right, girl. Well, thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Making us look fabulous.
We appreciate it.
Yay. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay. Bye now. All right. So here we are, Brian. I'm trying to remember the first time Brian and I met. It was last year, right?
Yeah, it was last year. I think during like the just coming out of the pandemic, everyone's getting back into in-person meetings, and
right, because we met at Starbucks. So
yeah, I had to sit outside because they were like, oh, you can't come inside still, except to get your coffee.
Yeah, I just remember that. It was a nice day though, so I didn't mind so much. So let's start by telling everybody about your business.
All right, yeah. So my business is Awsumb Tech LLC, and we're a managed cybersecurity and IT consulting company. Basically, that breaks down to we come in and make sure that your company is up to the current standards of what is required in today's digital world. There isn't a company in the world that doesn't either use a smartphone, a laptop, some kind of internet connection. And with the just vast, enormous amount of it out there, there's not much people can do to limit their attack space without having a professional come in and look at how they operate, what they do, and then say, hey, this is where you are, this is where you need to be, these are the steps that we're going to take to get there.
Okay, so that just by what you said right there, I've got like 10 questions. But the first and foremost is you said compliance.
Correct.
There is actually like legal compliances that you have to have in order to protect your stuff?
Yeah, so they're actually going to be coming out. Like they're just trickling out right now. Like the new big one is the new Federal Trade Commission guidelines are now rebranding and redescribing what a financial institution is. So say you're a CPA and you have tax information. You are now considered a financial institution, and you have to be under the same protections as a bank. Now, the weird thing is this also resorts to, say, a car dealership who has a finance department. They're now considered a bank.
Wow.
You have a jeweler who offers in-store financing. They have your financials. They are considered a bank according to the federal government, and that's just going to keep coming more and more as the just internet and networking over digital expands is going to bring in so many different avenues for people to take advantage.
Right, but who polices it?
Right now the federal government, if y'all know, they just hired a ton of new people.
I heard that.
Yep. So they're going to be the ones that go through and monitor, and then
so they have like little like guy over here going, "Ooh, I can get into like hired hackers."
Yeah, and then once they send out a form that says, "Hey, you have to," like, to the CPAs, they'll send out and say, "Hey, we need a written information security plan, a WISP," and that's going to detail every aspect of their company, and then they have to submit it by a certain date, along with you have to go in and basically authorize the government to come in and do a scan of your network. And what I do is I come in and I go over everything with you. I write all your policies for you. I work with you on it.
Yeah.
Then I cover all your digital bases, and we do that scan, and you pass that. But the main thing that everyone always forgets is people. I can come in and secure your entire business from, top to bottom. No one's getting in there. It's like Fort Knox. And then you have a new intern that comes in and opens an email with a file in it, gets right in. So it's basically if someone opens the door.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then that's where having.
Well, how do you stop people?
Well, that's where you have the trusted third party. As you partner with a company like mine, we take tedious backups and we double check them, triple check them on a weekly basis. So if something does happen, like say if it was a foreign agency that came in and got your stuff, you contact the FBI. Day one, they're going to come in and take all your computers because they have to investigate it. What are you going to do?
I don't know. It's going to mess your business all up.
Exactly. So you think, oh, well, I have cyber insurance. Well, then they're going to come and say, hey, well, did you have these 19 things that you checked off you said you had at the time of the incident? Turns out.
Cyber insurance. Okay, that just blows my. Okay, I have
So
so many more questions.
So that's what you do. You make sure that by the time that someone's coming to essentially audit to make sure that you have the right security systems, that you kind of make sure that everybody's set so that when that comes in, they're like, yep, you're good to go.
Yeah, they pass right on it. And then when it's no longer a question of if, but when something does happen,
right?
We ensure that you're back up and running within hours and days,
Oh, that's
not
nice.
weeks, months,
That
possibly
slows down
even
your-
years. I mean,
slows down your business. So those emails that you're talking about that come through, what can you do about that? Is there some sort of software that can kind of intercept that stuff, or you just have something in place to where
training program or
yeah, like a
something?
training to where they know what to look for?
yeah. So we offer a full, complete security suite as far as emails go. It goes in, goes out, and if your email goes down, it actually keeps a record of it offsite, so you can still work. Like say if Microsoft went down, all the emails are going into my program. You can interact and work, and then they're all stuck there. And as far as training goes, that is a huge push that I'm doing for this year. And all of my
identify what looks fishy, right?
yeah, it's going to be like everyone has to take a yearly training now to get a little certification. Then they're going to have little weekly micro trainings, little 30-second videos with one or two questions of what did Sally do wrong? And they're really trying to make
it's
it
gonna
fun.
be what Angela do wrong though.
Yeah, they have these really funny anime and cartoon style things now, so they're trying to make it not as dry.
Keep people's attention.
Yeah, I mean it's we got a bad rap for it with the government putting out their extremely boring and nothing but facts.
No,
Right? It looks like it was put together in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And so now there's a bunch of companies trying, and we work with a very specific one called Breach Secure now that they focus solely on the person aspect and making sure that people are covered, that your training is good. And then, like I tell everybody, it's worth the extra 2 seconds to check. Be like, oh, I don't know if this is right. Send it to your IT guy.
Yes.
Send it to somebody and say, can you look this over for me? Or pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, did you send me this email? It looks kind of weird.
Well, the thing that they do that's so tricky is like if you're on your mobile device and you just see the first and last name, and but it's like the first and last name at some weird thing, but on your phone doesn't show that. It just shows the first and last name, and if it's somebody you work with,
Someone then you're more likely to just open it.
Yeah. I've seen some bad ones. I know that my previous employer actually reached out to me and they're like, have you changed banks? And I was like, no. And they had gotten an email saying that they wanted that I had changed my bank and this is my new routing number and my direct deposit needs to go to that. And yeah.
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Let's not
But
do that.
they called. They
That's
called
good.
me and they were like, Ange, is this? And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
no,
please
don't send it
don't.
to that.
Don't do that, no.
So what about those emails? Like I've gotten some of those emails where it's like, hey, us at Target, there's been a security breach and just FYI, you might have been
Actually,
part
you know
of that.
What? Hold that question.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no. Hold that question because that's a good question. And we're going to go to break. And when we get right back, we're going to pick it right back up.
You're listening to BaaD Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back. This portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Artistic Beauty and 33 Tanning Spa and Micro Spa with locations in Altamont Springs and Longwood. So before we went to break, Melissa asked a really good question, so let's pick it up right there.
So I have gotten those emails a few times where it'll be, Target's my first example because I frequent there. But I've gotten emails where it's like, hey, there's been a security breach and you could have been a part of it. And I got to be honest, most of the time I'm like, I'm probably fine. And then delete it and that's it. So how serious are those? What should I be doing? Like,
they're probably mostly scams.
Right off the bat, the exact opposite of what you should do is delete it and ignore it.
Whoops-a-daisy.
They've just released new guidelines for reporting cyber breaches and compromises, and so you're going to start seeing a ton more of that because before it was up to the company if they wanted to make amends. Now it's a federal guideline that says you have 60 days to make it public, or we're going to make it public for you in a very not flattering way.
Ooh.
And basically, that actually brings me to the next subject I was going to work on, is the dark web. It's a very shadowy and mysterious, and it's a fun name, dark web.
I was gonna say that.
So you picture a guy like in a chat room.
I'm
or
just like,
in
how
a
do you
restaurant.
get to it?
Well, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there unless you know what you're doing. It's kind of like,
is it like
intriguing though?
I know.
It's kind of like going to a part of town you don't know anything about and walking around and being like, hey, everybody, how's it going?
What's so funny is I put it right into Harry Potter world. I'm like, you have Diagon Alley, and then you have Knockdown Alley, or whatever.
Nocturne or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where like the bad places are.
Perfect example.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so what those breaches are is a company gets in and say Target gets breached, and before it was all about making Target pay to have their data back. Now that that's not working, and insurance companies are going to stop paying on that.
Yeah,
and people
like
are just,
hostage, right? They hold it hostage. I've heard that, and people actually have to pay.
It's a huge business. I think last year it was up to $3 or $4 trillion globally for cybercrime. So it's considered the second or third largest economy in the world right now.
Wow.
That's
so
insane.
I mean, if you're ever wondering like, oh well, it's not going to affect me, it's going away. It's money's there. It's going to continue, and you have to imagine people in say third world countries or other European places, or even here in the United States, they hire people that are looking for work to come sit down at a computer from 9 to 5 and write emails, write text messages, go through and search web pages and emails. Like that's a 9 to 5 job for them, is trying to compromise information. And what they do is they get into Target and they steal all of your customer data, your marketing, your demographic, if they can, your credit cards. And then they go on the dark web and say, hey, this is all the stuff from Target. These are active users of emails. These are basically warm leads for your cyber emails and your cybercrime, and they sell them. Just like you would go to a marketing firm and buy a list for your target audience. They go to the dark web and buy breached and compromised system data for their target audience.
Wow,
I've never heard that. That's insane.
It's not very. The news focuses on North Korea, Russia, China coming in and attacking, and in my opinion, that's not the biggest threat because we know of that.
Right.
We're very conscious and we strive to make that hard to do. I'm worried about the 17-year-old kid down the street who is too smart for his own good, bored one day, hacks into, say, Uber is a fantastic. It was an 18.
I thought you were going to say War Games.
Well, no. So
remember War Games?
I remember
that movie?
War Games. That was fun, and that actually was one of the interests that got me into computers. Was
Really?
seeing how Matthew Broderick did the whole hacking scenario.
What
And
was it? Nuclear something war? Global nuclear war.
Thermonuclear war.
Thank you.
Keyword pencil or Joshua.
Right?
Someone knows her stuff.
But yes, the 17-year-old is too smart for. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Uber breach, it was an 18-year-old kid in Ohio who texted someone he found on LinkedIn that worked for Uber and just was like, hey, I'm your IT department. I'm trying to get in your computer. It's not working. What's your password? Person's like, oh, here you go, IT guy that I don't know. And the kid got in, used those credentials, and he didn't mean anything malicious by it, but it caused a huge cyber breach. And of Uber, of course, everyone has their credit cards linked to Uber. They have, their same email address that they use.
That sounds
probably same password they use.
Way too easy. Way too easy.
And that's kind of what we do is we focus on those attacks that you don't know are there.
Right.
I live in the world of everything to me is a danger. So
right.
when
you have
I
to
come
look
in,
at it from a criminal's point of view.
So when I come in, I'm like, you got to lock everything down.
Yeah.
I have to understand that there's usability versus like being safe, and you have to kind of find that happy medium for the company. And that's where bringing in a consultant works, is we know what works and how to protect. And then we also learn your business and how you operate. So we can merge those two to best find the solution that works for you. There's no cookie cutter thing.
Right.
So for those passwords, when you just said use the same passwords, I'm also guilty of that.
Yeah. So,
but you don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No,
though.
I don't do that. I do really random ones, but it's still the same one across a lot of different, platforms. So, and when you have a new place where you put a password, it's like, here's a suggested one, and it looks like an algebraic equation. And you're like, there's no way I'm going to remember that. I know that there's some software where it like keeps track of all your passwords for you. Do you recommend that? Or
I recommend that highly.
Okay.
So there's password managers out there. There's a dime a dozen. I won't recommend a certain one that just had its third breach.
I don't care if you say it on the radio.
Okay, it's this LastPass. They've been breached 3 times.
Oof.
And everyone's password database was stolen. So they're in a big thing. But what you do is you find a password manager. The one I use is called Keeper. And you make a super complex password. I mean, you can make it a sentence, song lyric, something that is very lengthy. And then you log in with that, and then it keeps a record of all your passwords. So
my computer does that for me.
Yeah. So
thank God too.
See, your computer does it. So if someone got access to your computer, then they'd get into your internet, and then they would have a list of all your passwords.
Yeah.
Whereas with the password manager, they'd have to go through 3 or 4 more steps.
I used to be in that mindset that I'm just not that interesting that anybody would want any of my stuff. But then I realized that they can make a whole new identity if they get my social security number.
Yeah, it's think about it this way: like you're walking down the street. I'm just a person. I don't have anything, but you're still going to get mugged because it's a crime of opportunity.
Yeah.
They're not specifically targeting you, but if they find your information on the dark web with a working password, they're going to go to town.
So you sound so very passionate about this. How did you end up getting into this? Because if I remember correctly, you worked corporate for a while, right?
Yeah. So a little background on myself. I went to military, Army right out of high school. Graduated in 2001, so felt the call to serve. Went and
Thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure, and I spent 6 years overseas in both theaters. So over there I got a little bit of networking and computer knowledge, and it just seemed like it was fun. It was a problem I could solve, and everything was different. So when I got back, I want to be a big old time international business salesman, and I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And then once I got out there and started working for a bank and I was like, wow, this is not for me. 100% wrong career choice.
Yeah.
So then I went back and I got real into computers and started doing night courses, and then I started with the problem solving and the networking, and everything was just a new challenge. And then once cybersecurity became a thing, I was like, holy cow, they're literally making this up as they're going. This is the kind of stuff I want to do. So then after working in it, it's become kind of like my life.
No, like I said, I can just tell that you're very passionate about it. I would love to hear like some of the stories of stuff that you saved, or I would like to hear some of your horror stories too. So we have like a minute right now. Just think of one. No, I'm putting you right on the spot too. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Not having a backup.
Oh geez.
There was an attorney I talked to, didn't have backups, 10 years wiped out because of a mistake an employee made. It's just they went and deleted the wrong account.
Oh my gosh.
Wiped it out, no backups. They were one of those, I'm too small and nothing will ever happen to me. And it came down to the price of your business. Is it worth a couple $100 a month for backups, or
lost 10 years of...
Yeah, so it's really coming down to, it's more of a necessity now than it's ever been. Just like I said, everything is online for everybody, whether it's your phone, your laptop, camera.
I know. I'm like offended if somebody says you have to come down here and do it in person. I'm like, what? No.
Right?
You have things to do.
I know. It's like you really, or better yet is, we don't have email. You can either like fax it over to us or drop it off in person.
Fax.
And I was like, who uses faxes?
No one.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I'm like, I'll just email it to your fax machine.
All right. So that music means that we are wrapping it up. So stay tuned because we'll be back in a bit.
You're listening to BaaD Radio. Like she said, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Are your roots in need of a touch-up? And I'm not talking about your hair. What about your grass? At Ground Up Property Services, we can help make your grass roots or make sure your grass roots are doing great underground, but we can also give it that just stepped out of the salon look with our new lawn painting service. I know.
Lawn painting.
Cool. Lawn painting
It's
service.
actually really cool.
Have you had it done before?
Yeah, and I'm always like, wow, check out how green my grass is. So, good stuff.
I'm going to post some pictures of this in Business at a Distance so you guys can see that.
Before and afters.
But you have to call Rick Hall. He can send you pictures as well, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person. It's 407-468-4295. And also wanted to thank Crazy Muscle Nutrition in Longwood. And he's actually going to be in studio next week, Zach, and he's super fun interview. All right, so we are back with Brian Awsumb with Awsumb Tech. So we talked about a bunch of different things. I think really what I want to talk to you right now is what the show is really all about, is helping small businesses grow. What is it that you would like to see, for your business in the next 5 years? And I don't want to say, where are you going to be in the next 5 years? I really want to see, like I said, what are some of your short and long-term plans?
So, my main goal for the business, since I've done the switch to the cybersecurity, managed cybersecurity, is to get the information out. It's basically an education to the public. It's something that is very prevalent and ruins lives, but since it's not major news and people can't see it on, 369 or whatever the major news are in your area,
Right.
they don't think it's a problem. Or it's never
I have
going
to tell
happen
you,
to
I
me.
didn't. Until we're sitting here having this conversation, I never thought about half the stuff that you said. So,
And that, yeah, I mean, I like to liken it to, say you have your home and you don't have locks on your door. You always put locks on your door. You make sure your windows are closed. You have security cameras, you have sensors. You do all that for your house, but when it comes to your business, you don't see it physical because it's a network and it's digital. But you still need to put those same locks on. You have to have the same monitoring. You have to have the same alerts.
yeah.
And it's something that wasn't a big deal until COVID hit and everyone switched to digital everything.
yeah.
It kind of accelerated the path, exponentially. So having to play catch up has been hectic. But now that, there's so many other avenues of education out there, we're trying to get people to understand, hey, it's a solution. I mean, it's a problem. It's necessary. Worst case scenario, educate yourself a little bit. Don't use a @Gmail account for your business. There's no way you can stop someone from getting in there because you don't control Gmail. Go buy yourbusiness.com. I think they run about $12 a year.
Oh yeah.
So pay the money for that. Set up a G Suite or a 365 account.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're not just making it too easy for the bad guys.
So that actually helps you protect yourself too, because I have thought, about not having an @Gmail just for professional, just again, like what we're talking about, first impressions and looking professional. I didn't think even relate it to having like that. So that's an extra step of protection.
You pick Melissa at strikingbrand.com because it looks professional.
Right.
But
right. Yeah,
he's
but
saying
then,
that it makes
it actually. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
I
with
didn't know that.
with the @Gmail, companies like, I can't provide you my same level of email security because I'm not able to get on the back end of Gmail and say Melissa Jacobs @Gmail needs to be covered. It's an all or nothing type scenario.
Okay.
So
that's really interesting.
Switching to that allows you total control of your business.
And another thing, just to pop in here, but it also gives your business a lot more credibility when your email comes back off of your website and not a Gmail address. Security aside, you're not going to get the love or the attention if you're at a Gmail address.
I agree, because I feel the same way. When I see just @Gmail, I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I totally do too. That's why when I was like, I want to have Angela at BaaD Radio. And not, Angela BaaDradio @gmail.com.
Right.
I just, like I said, but I had no idea it was like help with security as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, a lot of the things that people do to set up a business are based in securing that business for them in the future. Having legal counsel, making sure your copyrights or TMs are set or your contracts are solid. All of that makes you look really professional, but it came about because they were security needs. People were breaking contracts. They were, taking over people's brands and logos to sell their own stuff. So by incorporating those and making sure the security aspect is safe, that came about to be, this is just how I start a business now.
I did actually have somebody create a business at a distance at gmail.com and start emailing people.
So you made it.
Yeah,
that's
Someone's trying to impersonate you.
That is the highest form of flattery when someone copies you.
Well, it
That
really
is
pissed
good
me
stuff.
off. Is what it
Costly.
did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're doing something right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had to make sure that I went out there and I'm like, if you get an email from this email address, just know it's not me.
Right.
So, so how do you service your small businesses and because a lot of what you're saying to me sounds like high level. I mean, what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So yeah. When this,
you know the question I'm asking.
Yeah. So when cybersecurity first came out and businesses like mine were started, we were focused on enterprise level, 500 employees or more, because that was the target rich environment. But with the new everyone being online, everyone having an email, everyone using social media, it's basically gone down to now everyone is at risk. So for a small business, I come in and say, hey, get rid of your Gmail. You have a web page. Why don't you have your email from that web page? You already own it. It takes literally one more step to do it.
Are you able to take emails? Because I know that lots of times what happens is I'm like, you need to get your own email account. They're like, oh, but I have everything in my Gmail already. Can you transfer that stuff?
Oh yeah. That's a simple. Yeah, it's one of the main things I do for onboarding is making sure everyone's switched over to the proper security suite in Microsoft. There's no impact on the user end. So I mean, on the client's end or my partner's end, they just now have all the security that I can monitor in the background, and it allows me to go back and check and say, hey, well, at this time on this date, somebody from random country B tried to log into your account.
Yeah.
Now I can cancel that, but it was flagged and it was stopped.
I have seen the back end, like a spreadsheet of how many times an email got sent to my business address, and I was blown away in where it came from.
Yeah. It's kind of scary.
Canada, South America, a lot of stuff from the Middle East. But I mean, the thing was, it was like a spreadsheet that was 2 pages long just for my email address. And I wasn't like a management position or anything.
Well,
and so it was pretty mind blowing.
Yeah. So, it's scary. I use the word scary just because it's something I've used, but it's not scary. It should be eye opening. It should be something where I'm not trying to say, oh, doom and gloom, you're in trouble, but it's, just keep a healthy appetite for security. Make sure you take the few extra steps. I understand you're busy scrolling through your phone, clicking buttons, but, just go through and check. So we come through and make that. And then I put an entire layer of security over the business network. So I basically segment you out of the external internet. So everything you do is bottled up and uncompromisable. Unless you open the door via letting someone in with an email or.
And how long does that process take? Depending on the size of the business?
Depending on the size of the business, average small business, 2 to 3 months, a bigger business, 6 months to a year.
Really?
Yeah, so it's not just something that you do overnight because we have to learn what you do on a typical normal day basis. And that can be February is different than March.
Right.
Because of different seasons. So we have to go through and learn that so we can adjust our security to
just
match
tweaking,
that.
tweaking.
Yeah, we tweak the back end and make sure that, like I said, you just work normal, and then we're feverishly working in the. It's like a duck underwater, this little feet are going nuts, but you guys are sitting there just enjoying the sun.
Do you have a 911 phone that people can call? Be like, Brian, oh my God, this just disappeared. Does that happen?
All the time. That's pretty much when I answer my phone. It's hey, hope you can catch you at a good time because this is super emergency.
Yeah.
I deleted everything.
Super
I don't think I've ever answered the phone. They're like, nah, I can wait.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
I imagine you are in a business where if somebody's calling, it's
putting fires out left and right.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're able to help a lot of people too. I guess it's the hardest though when you're like, it's gone, baby, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard conversation to have.
Well, I guess that music means that we're done with this feature, but you're staying in the room with us because when we actually wrap up the show all together, we're going to go around and give all of our contact information out. So, all right, you guys, we're going to break, and when we get back, we're going to jump in with our next Brian Hastings.
Brian number 2.
For more information on networking, go to BaaDradio.com, BaaD radio.com.
I love her.
You're listening Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You're now listening to BaaD Radio.
And welcome back as we launch into the second hour of BaaD Radio. I'm going to run through all of our regular info for those that may have just joined us. I am Angela Smarito, your host, and we've got our producer in the house, Melissa Fox.
Sup, what's up?
Who I'm loving all of her adding stuff that she's doing here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love her. We have next to me my co-host and videographer, I almost said Melissa Striking. Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand.
I'll take it. Hello.
Actually, that'd be a really cool last name.
Melissa Striking. Yeah,
Yes.
that's hot. I like
Adjective, right? So Melissa does all of our BaaD Radio videos, and you can find all our previous episodes on baadradio.com. But you can also check out Melissa's website, which is strikingbrand.com, to see all of her other work. So we love having her, and she does a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yes.
And making me blush.
Well, you look very pretty
Thank you.
too. I know.
Thank you, Ricky.
Sorry, we're girls, so you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so we're going to talk to my longtime friend, Brian Hastings. And Brian Hastings is the owner and operator of Four Seasons AC.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
We
And
have known each other a long time.
I'm trying, and I've told this story numerous times, but I'm going to tell it again. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I was working in radio, and he was on my prospect list, Brian Four Seasons. And I cold called, and I showed up, and he had like the best gatekeeper, and but by the grace of God, I got a face-to-face meeting with him. And it probably took me a good 6 months, I would say.
At least.
Yeah. So I sat from across from him and gave him my spiel, and he shook his head, and he was like, yeah, I'm all right. And I think that you'll have to tell me, but I think that you felt sympathy for me because of how hard I worked to get that appointment.
There was a little of that.
But he gave me a budget, and it wasn't a big budget, but it was a budget. So I left, and I was like, yes, I have, sometimes them smaller buys are more gratifying than like those big ones. And then our relationship has kind of grown from there. He's the one who introduced me into networking in the first place. So I'm in a roundabout way, you're responsible for all of this, Brian.
That's it. I will take the blame. But, but it was funny because you backed up what you said. So that's why I said, man, I've got some opportunities here to introduce you to more people. Mm-hmm. So let me see if she's interested in networking. Mm-hmm. And yeah, here we are.
So I know now that I'm in the networking things is I size people up before I decide if I'm going to invite them. Is that what you were doing with me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. Every single time that I meet someone, that's how I look at it. Because they can make me look good or bad.
Hey, it's going back to the appearance thing that we were talking about before.
Yeah, true. Now, I guess you're right. You didn't invite me to the networking event until after we ran your first program, and I followed up with you. And he ended up. But now, like I said, Brian is like one of my number one supporters. He was with me when I launched Business at a Distance. In fact, I think you were one of the first people that I called and said, "Hey, I'm putting together a Facebook group." It's right when COVID hit, like that day in March when we all got sent home, and I was driving, and I actually had a referral for him like in my pocket, and I was like, okay, so how are we going to make this work if nobody's meeting? And I didn't want to start an email chain, because when you start getting an email chain, there's so many people on there, and then you just lose interest. And
definitely.
So creating a group in Facebook to me seemed like, because I'm old too, my daughter would be like, no, it needs to be Instagram. But I mean, I'm old, so to me, Facebook made sense. And then I think it was you and Mike Heyman, and like just that core group of people that we had in our little circle, and that's how it started.
Yeah, it was great. When you bounced the idea off me, I was like, "That's genius!" I couldn't believe it. It's like, yeah, that's gonna work.
And it started off in the early days as we just were sort of like posting. I mean, I remember I did testimonials.
Yep.
So I might say I have a referral, but I also have a testimonial. And then I posted about my business or what I do. Mm-hmm. And I think the second day I got a call for somebody that wanted to advertise.
crazy.
And I was like literally jumping up and down. I was like, oh my God, it worked.
That's huge.
It worked.
The second day, too. Yeah.
Yes. And I closed business with them. And
Nice.
it was fantastic. I got my hand slapped because I put pricing on the Facebook, but you know what? You got to live and learn.
Yeah.
And so since then, like Four Seasons, you've always been with Four Seasons. It's not like you worked for another company. So
Right.
Four Seasons is your family business,
Yep.
correct?
Yep. Air conditioning forever. Yeah.
It's been a minute since I wrote a commercial for you. Was it 30 years?
So we actually incorporated, my dad incorporated in 1977, but believe it or not, he was here in Orlando doing air conditioning since 1953.
Wow.
I didn't know they
And,
had air conditioning in 1953.
It's really crazy. Yeah.
Is it your dad started the business?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah. And it was always fun. When he was around, I would go out on these jobs and I'd say, hey, this church over here, I'm looking at changing out all the units. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I put that in 62.
Oh, that's so cute.
How do you do that?
Did you help him
Crazy.
when you were little and stuff too?
Yeah, I did. It was so cool because when you're small, you think going up an attic, that's the
an
coolest thing in the
adventure.
world. Yeah, now
Now
like,
it's like,
no.
gosh.
That must have been so good for your dad. If you were like, yeah, I'll do it. He's like,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, and just hand them tools.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's family business, and it was. So it's been literally. When did it become Four Seasons?
So 1977, July of 77 was when the official kickoff was for Four Seasons. So,
And so started off with one truck. What I'm trying to do is say, where were you then, and
So,
where are
yeah.
you now?
So yeah, I'm trying to think here. 4 employees at that time.
That include you? Were you like
No.
12?
Yeah, I was not working at that time. I was more concerned about skateboarding and riding BMX bikes.
As you should be
nice.
at
Yeah.
12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. So, he worked for AC companies, throughout his life, and just brought some people with him. And they went to town. Started out really small. I think they had 2 people out in the field and 2 in the office, and grew it from there. And it was organic the way it grew. Never had a huge jump in people, but eventually, I think at some point we got up to 49 people. I was running the commercial division. We were working all over the state.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot.
That was a pain.
Yeah.
So when he retired, I started looking things over, and I said, I don't want to drive down to Miami and pull permits anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled back, and now we just concentrate Central Florida, Orange, Seminole, Osceola,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of Lucia, a little bit of Lake.
I'm
And-
sure you have plenty of work to do just
Oh
in
my
Central
gosh.
Florida.
Oh, yeah.
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 Is it residential and commercial, or primarily residential?
We do about 80% residential, doing change-outs, service work, and maintenance. We don't do the big subdivisions. We don't do that new construction.
Okay.
We do custom homes and we do additions, but we're really focused on customer service. So
Well, that's what I say. This different thing. I
Yeah.
want to talk about the different brands. I want to talk about customer service. I want to talk about like the training that you put your guys through. So, which one do you want to talk about first?
Man, I don't- pick one. Throw
Yeah,
a dart.
yeah, tell-
Where's the dartboard?
Okay, let's say customer service. So,
All right.
oh, wait, how are we on time, Melissa? On this?
Well, we have about 90 seconds to talk about customer service,
Well,
which, frankly, should be the time that you sit at your table before a waitress or waiter comes up to you and asks what you'd like to drink. But nowadays, it's moved to about 90 minutes. Okay, now you have about a minute left.
Okay. Well, like I said, we'll touch basically a little bit on it, but really I want to talk about it when we get back because I think that's
Yep.
something that really sets Four Seasons apart from a lot of the AC companies that are out there. And so, customer service right now, how many employees do you have?
Right now, 28 employees.
Okay, and how many are out in the field? I guess they're all out in the
field.
field, right?
I mean, honestly, yeah, all of us are in customer service, whether we're in the field or in the office.
That's true.
So, yeah.
All
But
right.
it's about 50-50 in the field and office.
So 20. So I mean, to me, that's a pretty decent amount. Like I sometimes I have a hard time managing my family, and I just have 2 kids and a
Yeah.
husband. So I'm like I couldn't imagine it being more people than that.
Oh.
All right. So actually, what we're gonna do now is we are gonna go to break, and when we get back, we're gonna jump really into this customer service.
Okay.
You're listening to BaaD Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Impact Electric of Orlando, who focuses on residential and commercial electrical work. When talking about the quality of work, Impact Electric is one of the best. We use Impact Electric at our home, and I've referred them out to everybody. You can reach Zach and his team at 407-747-0874, and having a number of an electrician in your phone is a must. Never really realized that until I was a homeowner, but definitely give kudos to Impact Electric. Also want to thank Andrews Law PA, our auto accident attorney, and that's andrewslawpa.com. All right, so before break, we touched on customer service. So now I really want to jump into it a little bit more.
Details.
So customer service, in my opinion, is something that a lot of companies have kind of let fall to the wayside. And the reason I say that is because it's so hard to get employees that a lot of employers are not holding their employees to certain standards because they're having a hard enough time getting them to come to work in the first place.
Yep.
So where do you stand on that?
And it's super, super difficult. We just try to stress to everyone, treat everyone like you'd like to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to call that person before we send a tech out. You need the text. You need to knock on the door and step back.
Well, let's go over
yourself.
real quick the different, like there's the tech, there's the salesperson. Tell us about.
Okay, yeah. So you've got technicians. They're the guys that come out. They do the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got maintenance techs. They're the guys that they'll come out and they'll do the preventive maintenance, keep that unit running for a longer period of time, clean the units. Sometimes there's crossover there. Then you've got salespeople. They specialize in going out and doing all the measurements, running the heat loads on the houses, and then actually...
What's a heat load?
That's where we measure all the windows, look at the attic insulation, and...
Is that just like what size unit it can handle?
Figure out exactly what size unit.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's super important. And then we've got in the office, we've got dispatchers, we've got permit technicians, we've got HR, we've got accounting. We've got a service manager, we've got installation manager, we've got a warehouse man.
That's nice. It sounds like you have specialized people in all these different areas so that you have people who aren't trying to cover so much. So when you do that, it feels like more when you're talking about customer service, you have people who are specialized in this that know what they're talking about.
Yes. Yes. And that's the whole idea. Yeah. They can then solve that problem quicker because it's targeted.
Right.
So it doesn't always work, but
it's the goal.
We try. Yes.
But do you actually have specific training programs? I know you have like a training office.
Yeah. So we've got a training room because to me, that's the most important thing. Technicians, when they come to work for you, every brand of equipment's different, and they may not have ever seen or had much experience with the type of unit that they're going to see in about 2 hours when they go out on a call. So we try to have a bunch of units that we literally have in a training room, and they can walk up to. We can mess it up. We can have them reprogram things. The new AC systems are computers, so it's a different world. We can actually do troubleshooting from our office. I can pull up my air conditioner from the office.
Wow.
And I can run a program and analyze it.
That's like how cars are, like when you just said like they're turning into computers. I never thought. So ACs are like the same way.
Same thing, yeah. Not all of them, but it's
the newer ones.
Yeah, it's definitely it's nice because technology is good when there's a benefit to it, and finally we're seeing a benefit.
Do you do training for how to deal with like really irate homeowners? Like for those technicians, like the ladies that's standing out there, like she's got a rolling pin in her hand and she's pissed. And she's like, I'm hot. Fix it.
We do. We call that our soft skills training.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have that? That's nice.
You got to tell me what that entails.
You probably need to share that with a lot of business owners, I feel like.
And please tell me you role play too.
Oh, this is fun.
Oh, man. That would be great. We'll get the rolling pin for the training.
Yes. Angela, come in.
I was just thinking about what wig I could wear.
See, she's already planning it.
Get my house robe,
That's it. Smoke's coming out of your ears. I can see it.
But that's a part of it, is that you have to deal with people, and in Florida, when they don't got their AC, then, you got some very irritated homeowners.
It's so true. And that's the biggest thing, is putting yourself in that customer's shoes, because it's tough for our dispatchers. I could not do that job.
Well, because they're just talking to people that are like,
they're
I'm
mad.
dying.
Yeah, can you send someone right now? I can get them there today, but it's going to be in 5 hours. And they're hot. They don't want to wait, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's talking people off the ledge. Sometimes I have to talk dispatchers off the ledge.
Oh, bless their hearts. I can only imagine how hard that is. But I mean, like you said, you have programs that help each one of those people like deal with those situations.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the other part of having a team. If we've got someone that's just really frustrated, that just dealt with a customer that maybe was not as nice as they could have been, the other dispatchers will recognize that and say, hey, go ahead and take your break now.
Yeah.
And just chill.
I would say put Brian on the phone. One thing that you guys have to know about Brian is that he has a skill for talking to people, and he can deliver bad news, and you're still just like, oh my God, thank you so much.
I get that from my dad.
Yeah.
The story around the office used to be, we had a guy, and he came out of my dad's office, had a meeting, and someone else asked him, how'd it go? And he's like, I think I just got fired.
Well, even your voice is relaxing. So I'd be like, okay, it's not so bad. I guess I'm not so hot.
Yeah. But I mean, I can imagine that gets you on the phone and you have a way of talking to people. But like I said, you can deliver like not the best news, but you have a way of delivering it in a way that makes it like it disarms people. I guess the right way to say that is.
Definitely try it. For me though, just listening is the biggest thing. That's disarming right there, because people don't expect that. They're so used to people just coming right back at them, and it's like, oh, that's a good point. Like, what do you mean? It's a good point. It's like,
wait, empathy?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to agree with me.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, just understanding what's going on. And so you were talking about the training as well. So I know just from conversations that there are at least 4 to 5 that I can even say off the top of my head, different types of AC units. I know that because I always go after all of his co-op money. So I'm like totally transparent here. But so you do training on each one of those individual types of units.
Yep.
Do those companies bring somebody in?
Yeah, a lot of time that's how we do it. They've got regional tech reps, and they'll come in and they'll teach the class. Works out great. During COVID, we did it through Zoom, and we actually found out that actually can work. I'm not wild about Zoom, but it's a great option. So to keep that training rolling, it's something we did. It's just so difficult. YouTube is our friend.
I think YouTube's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I know my son amazes me all the time because if he wants to learn something, he just YouTubes it and figures it out.
Do you know I do the same thing? You know what I did that with was wakeboarding. I even did it with a wakeboarding. Like I was so nervous.
Can you wakeboard?
I can wakeboard because of YouTube.
Aiden can dance because of YouTube.
See the things you learn.
Did you stay around at my birthday party?
I saw the video.
Yes. I was like,
did he learn that dance on YouTube?
Yes,
all
of them.
Anything you need to know, YouTube. And if you can't find it out, then call a professional.
Right.
That's it, yeah. Dealing with electricity, yeah.
Yeah, let's not touch hot wires. There's a line.
Do you guys work with specific electricians? Like, do you have synergy with certain companies where you're like, hey, we're not touching this until you get an electrician.
Yeah.
This is, call my guy Impact Electric over here.
Yeah, it definitely happens because they're so related. So yeah, it's good to have people like Impact Electric that you know and trust.
Yes, that's what his jingle says too. So if the
Nice.
jingle says it, it has to be true.
How do we get a hold of him?
Of Impact Electric?
Yeah.
The HIN one is 407-747-0874, or you can go to impactelectric.com.
Very cool. Very cool.
Did I do okay on that one?
Yeah, I think you did great. We got to take a break here, but there'll be more coming up. It's BaaD Radio. Go to BaaDradio.com and get involved.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and we want to thank our sponsor, Bolts Legal. Brooke Bolts was on the show just recently, and we just had the best conversation, and she's told me some stuff like about claims that my head's still spinning about that. But definitely go to boltslegal.com to get some more of that information. And also wanted to thank Rachel Roach Realty. She's a Coldwell banker, realtor, and in the sea of realtors out there, choose one that thinks about you first and not their commission. So, all right, on the break, we kind of talked a little bit about what we want to talk about next. And Brian looked at me and says, who wants to be a millionaire? And instead of giving him a weird look like I would, I realized that now I just wait because he's got a reason that he said that.
Right. That's right.
All right, why'd you say that?
All right, why did I say that? So it's been proven. If you want to be a millionaire, get into the trades as opposed to a 4-year college degree. I'm not saying I have a 4-year degree and I still got into the trades. But it's one of those things that it's a great career. And I really want to stress to the parents, the aunts, the uncles, everyone listening out there, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I love showing kids how they can, all the different avenues they've got once they get into the trades.
Yeah.
You can be a technician, you can get into sales, you can get into management, you can own your own company.
Well, I think that there used to be a stigma with it. If what is it, white collar, blue collar? Certain people have certain
technical schools.
Yeah,
kind of.
See, some people think that if you have a certain collar, that you're on a certain level, and I completely disagree with that. But I mean, I'm Gen X. That's kind of it was like you go to school, you go to college. You get a corporate job, you get married, you buy a house. Like that is like what we were taught, and it's just not the case anymore because what are some of the traits we talked about it on break?
So some of the trades, as far as you've got, of course, air conditioning, mechanical, you've got electrical, you've got plumbing, you've got general construction, and then it goes on. Yeah, welding. There's so many subcategories.
Can you think of one trait that is not necessary anymore? I mean, think about it. I mean, we need electricians. We need plumbers. These are all things that are not going away.
That's true.
And I think that like what we were talking about earlier is being able to have people that are skilled to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm in, the Air Conditioning Contractors Association here in Central Florida, statewide. They've got a group called FRACA, and that is their main focus. It's let's educate. So we've got a apprenticeship school here in Orlando. They do a fantastic job in partnership with Orange County Public Schools.
So it's an apprentice to become an electrician, or I meant like a
air conditioning. So is the school that I'm specifically involved with, and it's a night class. So you work during the day at your job, and then you go to school 2 nights a week for 3 hours each night. And after 3 years, you should be ready to jump in a truck and be a full-fledged service technician. So it's a great deal.
Do you offer any programs with Four Seasons about how, if you find somebody that's got really good potential, do you give them any sort of assistance?
We do, yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, we end up paying for the whole thing. If they stay with us a year, we pay for the whole thing.
Is it expensive?
It is extremely cheap compared to college. So we'll put it that way. It is. It's not expensive. It's way underpriced. It's just a great deal
because we want people to go. Okay, so a young woman gets out of college or gets out of high school, and do you recommend that they still get the 4-year degree and then go to trade school like you did, or can a lot of them just go straight to trade school if they find a trade that they like?
Exactly. If you have a good idea what you want to do, you can go straight to trade school. There's no wrong answer there. I will say if you go through our apprenticeship program, you basically have it's equivalent of about 2 years worth of credits, and then that transfers over to Valencia. So you can then transfer that to, they've got a building, building management, building services. There's 2 degrees over there that all those hours will transfer.
So it seems like if you did like the 4-year college, it would just be a waste of money essentially. Because I know is there anything to where if you do have a degree, you get a higher pay tier or something? Because I know my mom works not in a trade. She works as a counselor at an elementary school. And that was one of the things. If she got her master's, then she's on a different pay scale. But that's not necessarily how it works in the trade, right?
It's usually not how it works in trades. Yeah. And I won't say it doesn't help, because if you're getting into, the business side, the management side, having a little bit of background from college is going to help you. Mm-hmm. Chances are, though, if you've been working out in the field and working your way up,
you learn more out in the field.
You're going to have a great idea, because you had all those bosses you worked for that you learned, I don't want to do this. I do want to do that.
Yes, I agree.
So how does somebody become an apprentice with you?
So to become an apprentice, you have to actually work for us. The apprenticeship school, generally we want someone in place by April, May, work for us for a few months, make sure that they're going to be a good candidate.
Mm-hmm. You just have them shadow, go out on calls and stuff.
And usually we'll have an entry-level position we'll start them in. School starts in September. They do have to qualify for it. So there's just minor things. You need to be able to read and write in English. Mm-hmm. And the school will actually work with them, so they can take a year to take a English speaking for other languages if they have.
If like Spanish is their primary language to teach. Okay, cool.
So that it's pretty basic, and then you go to school September to May. Take the summer off, because that's our busy time anyway.
Right.
And work full time, during school too.
So I meant like you wait on tables, you go to school, or you have some sort of like your college job, but you're going to trade school instead.
But you're going, and you're actually working in the trade. So part of your apprenticeship is doing certain tasks. So in that field that you've got the apprenticeship for. So you're actually practicing what you're learning in school.
No, I think that's so. Walk me through it. So somebody graduates and they come work for you, and then they apply for the apprentice. So how does all that work? Then all the way to where they're graduating and they're getting paid, and what does that pay scale look like?
Gosh, that's a dangerous question. So
it can be I'm trying to get my head around it. Do they come out of trade school making $25,000 a year, or is it $35,000 a year, or is it $80,000? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's gonna vary from company to company.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in that apprenticeship program, each year there's a minimum dollar amount that company has to pay you. So they take a survey of the local businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be paid at least the median. So anyone that's in the program is guaranteed a certain amount. I think right now that's probably average is probably around $17 an hour in the program.
That's really good.
Once you get out, it's pretty typical. You're going to be somewhere in the range $20 to $30 an hour.
Okay, so it's an hourly job. It's not a salary job.
Right.
Then.
Yeah, most of the jobs are hourly. A lot of them will do what they call a flat rate. So you go out, you do a repair, and you get this much money. You do an install, you get this much money. It just depends on the company.
Right. Well, like I said, so that's the trades, and then once they become what do you? I keep wanting to say an electrician, but it's not an electrician. It's what do you call the techs?
Tech. Yep.
Right. So once they become a tech, then they're like, that's just it. That's their career, right?
That's their career, but they still have other avenues. So you can be a technician. You can say, hey, I want to work my way up to management, and or we've seen some where they've said, man, I really like talking to customers. I'd like to move into sales.
Do salespeople make good money?
Yes.
Angela's going to change jobs again.
No, I just like you said.
Sales is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, salespeople, we have a stigma. But I mean, like I said, if you're passionate about whatever, then it's sellable.
Right.
I mean, and the way that I look at it, I mean, the biggest thing that I would see that would be difficult for an AC company in sales is just the amount of AC companies
competition.
that are out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of competition. But the difference is if you really know what you're doing,
mm-hmm.
like I mentioned heat loads before, if you know how to run a heat load, if you know the AC system, if you've got that air conditioning background, makes it so much better because you can talk intelligently and you can be honest with the customer. Rather than selling, you're just educated.
Nice. I hear music. So that means that we're going to break. So stay tuned and we will be right back.
You're listening to BaaD Radio on News Radio WFLA, Orlando.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And welcome back to BaaD Radio. It's so hard to believe that this is like our last segment of our first time in the studio here. So it has been an absolutely fantastic experience. So I got to thank Melissa Fox in there because, like I said, she's just been showing us the ropes.
The most unenthusiastic.
That was our, you guys. That's our studio audience. You're very. Can you try it? No, that's. They're still not trying very hard. Go to get a Coke or something.
Yeah, right.
Get some sugar in your system.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So where were we at with Four Seasons? On break, I said to Brian, I was like, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you handled COVID. So I know because I was working with Brian at the time that there was a lot of challenges. Well, so what were some of the challenges that happened during COVID, and how did you overcome them?
Wow, what didn't happen? So we had an incredible problem getting equipment. The manufacturers didn't have people to manufacture them because plants were having to shut down.
And a lot of the plants are up north. Is that right?
Some are up north, some in Texas, some in Mexico. Yeah, they're scattered around. It was insane. Manufacturers literally were caught with their pants down. There's a what was it? Just-in-time manufacturing was the way some of them worked. So they projected
because they didn't want to hold inventory,
right,
down overhead
minimize
costs.
inventory and make more money, and that didn't work in that time frame. So they could not catch up. We also had more demand because all these people were working from their homes, and they realized, oh my God, my air conditioner sucks. And so we had more demand. We couldn't get new units. We used up all the parts. Then they were trying to gear up, so they diverted parts to go towards new units. So then we couldn't get parts at all. So then we bought units so we could strip the parts out to fix people's units.
Oh, wow.
It was a mess. And it just went yo-yoed back and forth for well over a year with that situation. Now things are a whole lot better. There's new challenges now. The government, there's some new energy efficiency rating systems. So all the existing equipment that we were installing 6 months ago is pretty much gone.
What do you mean? Like, I know for a while you're not going to get Freon anymore. So is it something like that?
It's like that. They just up the efficiency, but they also change the way you rate the efficiency. So a lot of people might be used to hearing SEER, seasonal efficiency ratio. Now it's SEER 2. And they just kind of brought the rating system more in line with the real world. So it's a good
What does that
thing.
mean to a homeowner?
So for a homeowner, all it means is if you get the base air conditioner now, you're getting something that's going to be more energy efficient. It's also going to cost a few $100s more.
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Are they wicked more expensive?
They're more expensive. Yeah, they're not that much more.
How much does an AC cost?
You would be floored. So the range is what's crazy. Yeah. You can go from a $5,000 system, and I have seen $18,000 systems. Wow. So that's the range. It's insane.
But there's also some, I've seen some stuff that you've shown me. There's stuff that's, when COVID was going on, you had something that actually was we put it in your commercial. What was it? Help clean the air? Or?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's that's a whole other side of our business, indoor air quality. We work with people around town. We don't do the testing, but we do the cleanup of the air. So, we've had customers that just have had bad allergies.
Yeah.
People that have had lung transplants, medical conditions. And yeah, with filtration, dehumidification, and outside air, we can make that house almost as good as a surgical room.
Wow. Okay.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
And that's do you do that often?
We do. Yeah. We
don't talk about that very much.
No, we don't, because it's something that it's very specific.
Right.
Yeah. And if someone has those issues, they know it, and they seek out the people that test the air, and then those people refer them to us.
Yeah. As a salesperson, who I'd prospect for that is the outpatients at hospitals. That's exactly what my mindset is. Okay, there's going to be outtake or people that check people out of the hospitals, and I'll be able to talk to them, and they'll be able to say, okay, this person left, and this was their case, and then I could be like, okay, hello, I'm Angela with Four Seasons AC.
That's The problem is we don't sell; we just educate. So
wait, okay, rewind.
Yeah.
What?
We don't sell; we just educate, and then we let them make the decision on what they need.
But then you sell it to them.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
that.
I was like, you had me all thrown off there.
A lot of times when people are educating, then it is selling. Because you see that you're so knowledgeable, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to YouTube this because this guy clearly knows way more than I would find out.
That's what we strive for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about being like the networking person is that I know that I can call Brian. I know that I can call Zach Edler. I know that I can call. Now I know Brian, not the other Brian. So if like I'm working with a business and I hear them talk about, or you know what, or if they have a Gmail, I'm like, oh, guess what? That is this. But I mean, there's talking to both you guys. I learned so much about the different traits, and believe it or not, it is very interesting to me because like I literally could talk about it for the whole rest of the day. So so how are we on time? I like to do like a little wrap it up and kind of like give everyone all the contact information.
You have time for people to go ahead and get their pens, papers, or whatever implements they might need to write down the information. You also have time to go around the table a couple of times. We could have a cocktail if you'd like. You've got a few minutes left, so feel free. I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome. Well, like I said, where do you want to take Four Seasons now? I mean, are you status quo? Are you looking to grow? What are some of the things that you want to see happen?
Yeah, so we're in the growth mode. I think we don't want to own. There's no single AC company that can own the market here.
Yeah.
There's so many people here, but we want to be that one that for that customer service, that customer that really wants someone to hold their hand, give them the options. And then if they need us to help them make a decision, we want to be that company. So we just want to be seen as, hey, we are a great option. And
the AC company you wish you called first.
That's right. That's right.
That's his slogan. And you did copy or what?
That is trademarked.
Trademark.
Yes.
That was the word I was looking for. Yeah. So, but I wonder how many times people have said that.
Yeah, and that's we got it from customers. We used to do paper things at the end of every job, and we would have the people check the boxes. Oh, we did okay, we did bad, we did great, and at the bottom it had an area where they could write. And we had 2 people that said, "I wish I would have called you guys first."
I know that it was said where, like, in my previous workplace, it was more than once because there was AC issues and had other people come out and just could not get it sorted.
And you end up wasting the time and the money and being hot longer. Yeah.
And then we called Brian over here and he fixed that problem and then everybody was freezing. So
that's right. You said you wanted it cold.
Hey.
Yes. You absolutely did deliver there. All right. So Brian, how can everybody get in touch with you?
All right. So we've got a lot of different ways. So we've got our phone number, 407-295-9231. We're 24/7 answering that phone. We actually have dispatchers that work evenings, and you'll actually talk to a Four Seasons employee.
That's so amazing.
That is it really, again, customer service. Then our email. Actually, email is kind of a pain.
Yeah, send us your website.
Better the website. Yeah, website is the number 4, so it's 4acnow.com. And there's a little
if you
contact
type in
form.
like Four Seasons, it's going to send you to a resort.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could not get that website. I don't understand why.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
those are the 2 best ways to reach out to us, though.
And I've seen the website. It's got all the contact information on it. All right, Brian, what you got for us?
Yeah, so you can reach out to us. We have an office line at 407-636-7009. And then just push 2 for new clients or just leave a detailed message. It puts it in our system, and we get someone to contact you right back. And then also at our website, awsumbtech.com, AWSUMBTECH.
All right, Melissa.
All right, and I'm Striking Brand on all social media platforms and www.strikingbrand.com.
And I am Angela Smerito, and you can reach me at angela@baadradio.com. That's BAAD radio.com. Thank you for being with us for our first time in the studio with WFLA. And we look forward to having you here every single week. Have a great week.
Wait, where's our audience? There we go. Yeah, thank you.